you start to understand that your wounds were never really yours, right? They were somebody else's, and you can liberate yourself of feeling the guilt and shame that it's your fault. I am bad, or I am wrong, or I am unlovable, or I am unworthy. No, that was never the story. That was just your narrative based on your childhood belief.
Hello guys. Welcome back to a Road Less Doubtful podcast. Today I'm on with the lovely Clare Martin. Clare came into my life in the beginning of 2020 as my life coach.
No matter what you do, you'll always come back on track. And all you have to do is start to listen to those little soul callings.
Welcome to a Road Less Doubtful podcast, leaning into the parts of you that have been hidden away. I'm your host, Emily Wilson.
Hello guys. Welcome back to a Road Less Doubtful podcast. Today I'm on with the lovely Clare Martin. So Clare is actually now become one of my most beautiful friends, and I am so glad that we crossed paths, like more than she knows. But Clare came into my life in the beginning of 2020 as my life coach, as my personal coach. But she actually came into my life to help me set up systems for my business, but I don't remember her for that at all. So I very quickly shifted into becoming my personal coach and helping me navigate a lot of things in my relationship and helping me get to where I am today. So I owe this lady everything. So with that said, I'd like to introduce you to Clare and let her tell you a little bit about herself and what she does.
Oh, thank you, my beautiful friend. That's a beautiful introduction that I received from you. And likewise, it's been a journey, hey, that we've been on through so many different elements. And I think, we've been through lots of life's ups and downs together. And I think we've been through lots of life elevations together, which has been so phenomenal as well. I think we've both grown and progressed in so many different ways. And my journey started many years ago, maybe 5, where I was at a point, I guess, in my life where there was this huge catalyst moment, which I call it the pebble, the rock, or the brick. We have the pebble thrown at us where maybe we're not listening to the universe. There's these little indications where we're not really moving in flow with our life or quite in alignment for where we want to go. And then the rock comes, which can be, friend breakups, disruptions, drama, all of the stuff that we can become so aware of. And then the brick, which is normally that, the universe is going to smack me over the head with a 2x4
or smash my face in the ground or render me unable to walk. Yeah, those moments.
That's really bad. That hopefully I want to help people to not get to, but also those amazing life junctions where we get to pivot and we get to really come into a moment where am I going to choose a road of self-awareness, of self-discovery, of perhaps turning a lot more inward and seeing where am I the catalyst in my life that is perhaps keeping me stuck in these loops and patterns and toxic places, I guess, where, I'm not really gaining much ground in my life. I'm not really moving forward as far as my own emotional intelligence is concerned. And I think that's where I found myself, a number of years ago when my marriage broke down. That was my brick moment. Was the breakdown of my marriage, and then losing my home that I'd built in that union, and then going on into world events, which meant the loss of my business. And I think for me that was a massive turning point, a big turning point.
Yeah, so I would call that your chapter 2 moment, your start over moment. And I guess we've got a very similar path. I feel like I say it to you all the time. I feel like I'm just a couple of years behind you. So I'm like looking at you and I'm like, oh yeah, that's where she is. That's who I get to be soon, because that was it for me. I obviously had a lot of those moments, but when you came into my life, I truly believe people come into your life when they are supposed to and for a reason. And like I said, it was not to build my systems. It was to become this person with me. And what you helped me navigate through was that self-belief. And so do you want to share with people what tools you used for me then a little bit, and then a little bit of how you sort of started there, but obviously with that comes growth and change and you've got excited about new things. So what you're doing now?
Yeah, oh my God, it's been such a path of evolution. And, from where I used to be, I guess, years ago in the beauty industry and really just sitting and connecting with people for hours, right? That's what we did, was just sit and talk. I mean, I say beauty therapist, and I think that's what we are. We're therapists. And my career evolved and pivoted into my own awakening, that chapter 2 moment, which was actually the beginning of me becoming what's called a consciousness coach. And really that's about how can I create conscious awareness about who I am, why I am the way I am, what makes me the way I am, and how am I looping around in these behaviors that are, perhaps imprints or beliefs and constructs and stories that we've created around ourselves that aren't really true. But that, have been so ingrained into us that we start to live life through that lens. So I delved into the land of consciousness coaching, and wow, that was a wild ride, because I was doing that during COVID, and it was a real cracking open of my own awareness. And I was so grateful, funnily enough, for that moment to pause and be in my own self-reflection. And then that moved into me really getting curious around the energetic world, the metaphysical world, the spiritual world, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. And everyone has a different definition of what spirituality is to them. For me, it's like a coming home to yourself. It's really, just really coming back to your center. So that can happen through meditation. It can happen through books. It can happen through photography or walking or, whatever frequency you want to tap into to access that knowledge. But it's really learning that, I would need to come back to who I am. I need to really come home to me. And what does that look like? And where does that come from? So doing consciousness coaching was a gift. It was so pivotal in mass change for me, finding who I was and building my own self-belief and understanding where I was holding myself back and getting in my own way. And then being able to offer that to other people through different holistic tools and techniques, and learning all of these amazing ways of diving back into our imprints and soul imprints and how they look. And then then that led me into transformational coaching. How do we go from being this ego-led person, my external makes me who I am, to it's my internal world, my insourcing that creates who I am. And so that led me on such a different path, and my whole world shifted. And then I could take other clients through that same evolution of we create from the inside out, not the outside in. And that journey has then escalated, much more recently into, all right, that it's not just this emotional journey. It's not just, it took me a long time to move into accepting that I was on this spiritual path, or this going into an area of growth, which really hadn't been talked about, honestly. It was very taboo to talk about, growing from an internal place instead of from the external. It was going against the system, against what we've all been taught. And, I didn't believe in the 9 to 5. I didn't believe in a lot of constructs that we've developed in this 3D world, I suppose. I was really starting to look outside of that. And so then it's really led into somatic work or body work, and the energy healing and healing realm of how do we hold trauma and wounds inside of our body-mind system. So then how is that pushed down and held and kept in our body system as well? And how can we work on releasing that, which has led me much more recently to breath work, which has been, again, a whole just breaking open of understanding the way in which we store energy in our body, and how we need to lean into more of our intuition, how we need to lean more into trusting our body and how it's talking to us, and how do we release that? How do we let go of all of this trauma and all of this pain that over the years we have stored in our body-mind system? And how can we complete emotional journeys that we've been on? How can we complete those loops and really then bring our shadow into light and love every aspect of what different parts of ourselves, right? Because we say a part of me wants to do this and a part of me wants to do that. So really now it's the learning and deep understanding of what is my shadow. If I was to take all the elements of myself that I considered unlovable and put them in my hands in front of me and look at those, we've got so used to taking all of those things and putting them behind our back and going, if I just don't look at it, it's not there.
It's going to go away.
Just push that down. I'll just suppress that. I'll just deny myself this happiness. I'll never dream too big. I won't be too much. I know that's been your story, right?
I'm sitting here going, yeah, my whole body's just going, yep.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because there's so much that you've just said that we're going to have to like loop back to a few different bits, because it's all so relevant to all of this. I think the first part would be touching on it's okay to change, and it's okay to change your identity and to shift, right? Because you went from beauty therapist mode for this is who I am, this is who I relate to, this is me, based on the outside things, to it doesn't really feel right. And I want to trust my gut because I know there's more, and I'm having that same thing. And like I said, I'm a couple of years behind you. So there's more, but I don't know what it is, and I don't know how to get over there. And something you helped me see so much was like, you don't need to know how, Emily. You just got to feel it and trust it. I was like, no. I just give me the steps, because I can do anything. I can do anything if you tell me how. But it's only been recently, and I'm still trying more and more to just slow down and trust. But it's like, I don't need to know how. I just need to feel the feeling, which is what works for me. It's feel the feeling, and then I can hold on to that when my mind takes over. So I think one of those biggest things is that identity shift and giving yourself permission to shift. And then you've just sort of gone through this relatively short timeline of like, well, this did this, and then I went to here, and then I did this, and then this work took me here. But all of those parts now all amount to the next part that you're going to be, and none of it is wrong.
Yeah.
And you don't need to know how or why.
No. And,
but we all get so scared. We all get so scared to make the first step because we don't know why. So maybe you can shed a bit of light around that, because then we're going to come back to the energy intuition side of things.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. Yeah. It's leaning into that deep self-trust. It's learning to lean into elements that we've not been taught, right? It's like, how do I tap into my gut feeling, my intuition, my feminine instincts, my, leaning into what I love, and leaning into following my heart and opening my heart to my life rather than letting my logic lead the way. And I heard this beautiful phrase the other day, and it was like, it's not going to make sense on paper. And I love that. I love the fact that it's like, wow, that's what I really had to lean into, was that, if we're not changing and shifting, if we're not willing to step into that part of us that we don't yet know, then we're stagnant and we're flatlining. And that, you think of the heartbeat on a heartbeat monitor, it's pulsing and it's going, and if it's still, we're dead. It's like, and that's how I felt. I felt so dead in myself. I felt dead in my life. I felt, so I couldn't, in my past self, I wasn't willing to step into that new identity and trust my intuition and what my feelings were. I didn't know how to trust my feelings or understand them. And
well, I guess you were alluding to the fact you didn't really know what they were because you were hiding those shadow parts, right? And there's so many truth in those ones, and until you acknowledge those ones.
Absolutely. Like unless we take those hands out from behind our back and we bring those things back out in front of us and we look at that part of ourselves, and it's not just like going, oh, I see you. I'm bringing them out of the shadow, out from behind me into the light. They were always there. And the thing is the more we leave them behind our back and we don't bring them into our awareness, it's the bigger they feel, the more resistance we have against moving into that space of what are those shadow aspects of me, and where do they come from, and how did they become this way? Not only bringing them into light, which is such a massive part of the process, is just creating awareness around what your shadow is. As like, then how can I still love that part of me just as hard as the good bits, or what we perceive as the good bits? And now I see the shadow parts of myself as all the good bits, because that's where all my growth is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's, you pretty much just said it, like you put it behind your back and it's a lot heavier to carry.
Yeah.
Right. So then that goes into that energy. So for me, like you alluded to, that narrative was always too much. got to be a good girl. Don't speak up. Don't be too loud. Don't say the wrong thing. Just be quiet and just follow, because then you don't get seen and you can't upset anyone, and therefore there's no judgment, so there's no fear. But that then transpired into energy, and I'm going to go into it with my body. And so then that's been showing up, which leads into the other work you're doing. You know, like I carry it all on my shoulders. I'm knotted up. So around my heart, I get tight hip flexors. And the more I'm then learning through watching you, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should lay in bed and like just rock my hips. I've done breath work with you. And then my back is so tight when I'm laying there, and I think I can't stand this pain. But by the end of it, I'm like, oh, thank God. So yeah, I think what we carry around is so much of that we're just repressing, and it's such a waste.
When starting my journey of self-discovery, I felt alone and lost. That's why I'm so incredibly dedicated to this podcast and passionate about building you a place of community to help you remember exactly who you were before life got in the way. So with that said, word of mouth is one way we can grow this community. So please share this with your friends and family. And so you don't miss an episode, I'd love for you to tap the subscribe button. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, like energy works in such an amazing way. And, you know, our body's always holding the score. I think there's a book called The Body Holds the Score. And it's true. It's really, really understanding that, you know, for many people, there's shame, guilt. You know, there's so much shame, and shame is a really insidious feeling. It's, you know, I think it's one of the heaviest feelings we can carry. Shame of who am I, you know, and shame is I am a bad person. Guilt is I've done something wrong. So they're very different, but, you know, we carry the shame, we carry guilt, we carry, you know, all of the sadness, anger. You know, sometimes, and this is a story for me, it was like, I'm not allowed to feel angry. I didn't grow up around conflict. And so going back into my, you know, my family history, like all looked beautiful and I had this amazing childhood, but wow, just even the fact that my childhood was so safe and so protected from conflict meant that conflict for me felt dangerous. So, you know, growing up, for me, I had a lot of shame around feeling anger. I had shame around wanting to have things my way and doing things I wanted to do. My independence, people pleasing, you know, fawning, the fight, flight, fawn, freeze, our stress responses. And and so that came out in my marriage. When I was married, is like, how do I appease everybody else and not myself? And was very codependent back then. I didn't have independence. I wasn't prepared to step out on my own. I didn't want conflict, so I would just fawn. I was the people pleaser. I would self-abandon and do what everyone else wanted me to do. You know, likewise for you, that feeling of being the good girl, fitting in, you know, not being the too much person, not
speaking up, walking on eggshells, because it's easier to not have another fight because I don't really know anymore what I'm arguing about, and I don't really know who I am. So why am I making a big deal of this? And you know, all of those things. Yeah. So and then you lose. And then that codependence, that needing someone to fill that void, which was something that you helped me work through a lot of still a forever evolution. Yeah. Is I learning to love me, sit on my couch again on my own and be like, it's okay that there's not someone sitting beside me. I'm just enough on my own, and I love that I'm sitting on the couch on my own tonight doing what I want to do for me, because for before that, it wasn't, I'm not valuable, I don't have any worth unless somebody can see me doing the thing or they're there with me doing the thing, because then I'm lovable. Yeah. And that shifting has been one of the biggest things for me. So one, thank you again. And two, what's created this, and how to I don't even have a question in that. I just have a
and you know, it's thank you for the thanks, but you know, also it's I think what you've tapped on here is we all have the ability to be our own healer. Like, it's really about having someone to help shine the light and be a guide. It was you that did all the work. You're the one that had to do the shifts. You're the one that had to go pull that shadow from behind your back and stare it in the face. And that's confronting, like shadow work, inner child work, this, looking at our attachment styles and mother and father wounds, which, we did that work together, is confronting. It's really like it's taking all of those bits that you've rejected, denied, suppressed, and avoided, and bringing them forward and facing them. So as much as being a coach, sure, I could be in my ego and go, yeah, I did this. It's not up to me. It's the person you work with and their readiness for change. Like, how much do you want? Do you want your life to be different? Do you want to love yourself? Do you want to believe in yourself? Do you want to believe that anything's possible, that you can get what you want, that you can move past your fears, that it is attainable, that you can live your dream life, you can have it all, you can be too much, you can want the love that you desire, and you are deserving of that. And by looking at your shadow and facing that head on, you're saying, I'm ready. I'm ready to receive, because I'm ready to see my own mud. I'm ready to love these parts of myself that I've never loved before. And when you start to love and bring compassion to the parts of you that you've denied and rejected and abandoned, you can then bring it to other people too. You can see their shadow and how much their wounds play part in their lives. And all of a sudden you can liberate yourself, because you start to understand that your wounds were never really yours, right? They were somebody else's. They were your parents or your caregivers, or then the people that reinforced that story growing up. And you can liberate yourself of feeling the guilt and shame that it's your fault. I am bad, or I am wrong, or I am unlovable, or I am unworthy. No, that was never the story. That was just your narrative based on your childhood beliefs. And yeah, we really only get to look at that when we're doing shadow work, inner child integration, and then looking at how do our attachment wounds and mother and father wounds affect us in a later life, which they do. It is even people go, oh, I had a great childhood. Like I said, you can't see the correlation until it's literally put out in front of you, and you're like, oh, oh, okay, now I get it. And it's such a liberating feeling to know that it never was you.
Yes. Well, I feel like we focused quite heavily when we were going through the mother-father stuff with my dad, because to me that was the obvious one. And it's only been recently, so we're like 3 years on, where I'm going, oh, my mum was a good mum and she did the right things and she was always there for me. But I then still have a narrative around that of, well, then that's how I should be as a mum. And so then that has its negative connotation for me as how I want to show up, because I am not her and I'm going to do it differently.
Yeah.
So I can completely relate to what you're saying. My question, how do you, what is the biggest thing that you think stops people from deciding to step into doing something with you? Like you said, they have to be ready, right? But how do we get them there? Because one of the things I wanted this to be a place of is I don't want them to have the brick. So how do we get from just the pebble maybe to here instead of the brick? Why do we need that full-on brick moment? What is that about us as humans maybe?
Yeah, and I think, sadly, sometimes this is the journey we've got to go through, is that realization of not being infallible or breaking down. And, we can't just be in a positive polarity. We can't just float through life and then go, I never have to have that brick moment, that tower moment, as we call it, as it's known in Oracle, the tower moment when we fall apart. So, what would get people to move into that? And I think why people don't is often it's not, people aren't afraid of their failure. They're afraid of their light. I think people are really frightened of how brightly they can shine. And
absolutely.
Yeah, like I saw that land for you. And that landed for me when I was told that and I heard that, is that people aren't afraid. I think that's a saying by someone very famous. I can't think of who it was, Rumi or Carl Jung or whoever it might have been, but people aren't afraid of what they're going to fail at. They're afraid of how brightly they can shine.
And I think you can sometimes feel it, right? You said you had that feeling that was for more than being a beauty therapist. So then you feel that. So then that all of the sudden something lights up and you're like, oh, all of this potential. So even though it's the light, I feel like maybe part of it for me anyway is like, well, now I have all of this potential. Shit, I don't know where to put that to make it its most useful to like live my life till its fullest. I don't want to do the wrong choice again. Like I was doing the wrong choice before, that kind of feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but then your wrong choices are what lead you to the right path.
Exactly.
Which of the whole thing is I have to go off track to know you're off track. And that's where we've got to be kind to ourselves. That's where we normally shame, guilt, and suppress and deny, the mess up, the doing the wrong thing. There's no wrong thing. There never was. And I think it's like going, okay, well, there's never I can't make the wrong decision. It's impossible.
That's one of my favorite things that you ever said to me, and it's stuck to this day. Emily, have you made a wrong choice yet? I'm like, yeah. And you're like, have you made a wrong choice? I'm like, no, I have not ever made a wrong choice.
No.
And it feels so good when you phrase it like that.
Yeah. You know that no matter what you do, you'll always come back on track. And all you have to do is start to listen to those little soul callings. I'd say if anyone's ready to do the work, okay, well, are you asking yourself a question like, is this all there is? Is this all? Yes. Is this all I can do? Is this all I've got to offer? Who am I? That's another normal question that people ask themselves when they're at a pivotal point of a crossroad of where they need to dive deeper and they're ready. So if you're ready, maybe there's lots of drama breaking out around you. Maybe you find that you're in the center of this mess all the time. Maybe you're constantly overwhelmed. And maybe you're asking yourself, why am I in these loops over and over and over? Why have I got this constant neck or back pain? Why am I having accidents? Why am I breaking bones? Why are relationships falling apart? And we have to, that's the point where we get to choose. Do I choose to look at my life and see, is there a part where I'm attracting this in? Where I'm magnetizing these outcomes, and perhaps, not that it's my fault, but where is my conditioning, meaning that I'm choosing the same thing over and over for myself. And often, we're very stuck in projection. That's what happens when we're in our shadow. We project it onto everyone else. It's their fault. They did this to me. I'm a victim of that. Or likewise, I'm going to be the hero and rescue everybody. These are still the same energies of ego, of rescuer, victim, persecutor. Where am I the victim of my life? Where do I feel like I've got to rescue everybody? Or where am I persecuting other people and projecting onto them? If you find yourself in that place, you're asking yourself why, you're ready to change. If you're happy, and then cool, stay and keep having the same lesson come up in different ways, because it will, until you suddenly, okay, where do I play a part in this?
Life after life after life, right?
Oh yeah. I remember saying to my coach once, I was like, when do I get there? When is it gonna end? And she went, oh Claire, lifetimes. And I was like, no.
Wow. I listened to a thing this morning just on Instagram, and it was Dolores Cannon, and she said, show compassion to others. Like you're saying, compassion to yourself, that kindness, like listen, it's just like share compassion for everyone because you don't know what life they're on.
Okay.
And just that alone, and she said, some people might look like they're just cruising through. They're just, they're just floating. And she's like, that's okay. Just because you don't feel like you're floating, you don't know what happened in their past life. You don't know if they were at war. You don't know any of that. And you also don't know if they're just resting because what's to come ahead of them is really, really hard. And it just sort of just gave this whole cool. Like it just, if everyone could think like that and there could be more of that, there would just be so much more compassion for everyone, And it was just so beautiful to feel that, because I know with human design, so one of the tools, like you started, jump in, okay, now I'm ready to learn. Oh crap, well the learning never stops, and now I'm going to dig a little deeper, and I'm going to dig a little deeper, and so then human design has come up, and it's something I'm studying, and you know that I love that now, and I'll drop bits to you because I'm like, guess what I just learned? And within that, you've got your profile numbers, and I'm a 2-4, and my daughter has got a 6 in hers. And so I was like asking my coach, I'm like, well, she's a 6, so like she's further ahead. So like she's probably used to be my mum, and does that mean that, you know, she's going to know it all by the time she's finished, and she's going to have it easier? Because I wanted to, be there and know it all.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is the elements, right? This is where we get to, I think this is where I guess like it's such a new earth is being born right now. Is like, we have all these amazing tools that are now being shown to us, like human design. And that's another level for me that I've been learning from you. So, you know, when you gave me your human design book, when I came to stay with you recently, and you're like, oh, you're, you know, number 33. I don't want to, like, profile 33. And I sat with my face in this book, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like another moment where you feel like the light shining through the window. And
because it was so cool, because I was like, guess what? Like, I've been researching your profile, and with all of this work you've done, from not knowing, becoming this beauty therapist, or being this beauty therapist, and trusting you through all of the modalities that you're now teaching to other people, I was then able to go, hey, look at this. You're absolutely aligned with who you're going to be. And so then I got a taste of what it felt like for you to share your wisdom with me. And that's so cool. And then that's like the whole full circle moment right there of all of this.
Exactly. And it's like, now, you know, you're elevating me back, and it's that reciprocal give and receive. And there's like human design things that you keep sharing with me blow my mind, but also give me so much affirmation. Peace. Absolutely. Like this, I'm on the right path. I'm going the right way. And this all makes sense to me. Like, you give me that book, and I'm like, yes. That is me. I need rooms with light. I need this. I need that. You know, all these things where I'm like, where did that? That's crazy. It's so accurate. I like, God, I don't even know and understand human design. Only what you shared with me, and it's every part of that you shared with me has helped me feel so much more sure about who I am.
And I feel like it's like a tool. It's just a tool for that. But the thing is, we shouldn't necessarily need it, because it's that inner trust. But sometimes when it just gives you that back, it's nice.
It's a confirmation. And I think when and all of it's a confirmation. When you look about the confirmation of your past and learn that that's not you, and that's liberating. And then there's a confirmation of your, you know, conscious awareness, and that liberates you. And there's a confirmation of human design, and that liberates you. And there's a confirmation of breath work and the release, and that liberates you. And there are all these amazing things that lead us to our self-evolution and living a more peaceful life. And I think when you ask people, you know, what is happiness? Most people say peace, and being okay with what is, and not being in resistance to the life that we're in now. And, you know, if you can utilize tools like human design to reconfirm your direction, who you are, what your thoughts and where your blind spots are, right? So it's like bringing those blind spots out, and somebody showing you what your blind spots could be, and then you leaning in. And I think that's the thing with human design that you showed me as well, is like, where are my blind spots, and where is it that I'm not moving into full alignment of who I am? And again, bringing in that into my awareness means that I get to liberate myself and grow even more. Like, I get to move into the resistance. I get to move into the place that I've been holding behind my back still. And
just about to say that.
Yeah. And that is what these tools are so phenomenal for. And, you know, again, you've been able to share that back with me. And we've only scratched the surface, I feel, because, you know, I know that human design runs deep. I've seen the 64 Chinkies, and I'm like, oh, that book. And, you know, you're showing that to me, and I'm like, this is epic. And what a gift to be able to go through your journey that you've gone through. And I've seen you change so much. Like, even when we look at you on a physical level, you look different. You feel different. Your energy is different. And, you know, it's funny because I'm coaching people now that know you, and they're like, I want to be like Emily. And I'm like, sure, but you got to know where Emily came from, you know? And it's like, she's done a lot of work. And that's been tough for you, right?
Hey guys, if this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot and share it to your Instagram stories, and tag myself at A Road Less Doubtful. And if you're ready to lean into the parts of you that have been hidden away and start your road to less doubt and have way more fun, I'd love for you to join our community of like-minded women who build each other up inside our free Facebook group. Tap the link in the show notes below, and I can't wait to see you on the inside and travel this journey together. Well, it has been tough for me. It has, but it's so, like you alluded to right back at the start, you're so grateful for that chapter 2 moment. I'm so grateful for mine. And I think truly, which is maybe there's some work I've got to do on it, but I would be so bored now if my life didn't look this way. Like I would miss. So now when I have these highs and lows, because you would always say to me, Emily, you're feeling low. Like Claire, this is happening. Oh my God. Yeah, Emily, remember this last time? Remember what happened last time? No, but I don't know. Remember what happened last time. Yeah, okay, every time I feel like this, there's a breakthrough coming. Something good is on the other side of that. And it always is. And so now just those simple things, sometimes you don't know what's going to land for that other person. Sometimes it is those simple things, but yeah, you're just saying, it's all right, sit with it. So now when I feel that, I will go and use some of the tools you showed me. You'll post something. I'll be like, okay, Emily, you're not actually breathing right now. Breathe a bit more. And again, you've only scratched the surface of that with me. Like we've done one together and it was amazing. I've done a little bit here with someone else. I wish you lived closer.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to step into more of that. But again, I didn't believe some of this stuff before because of the identity thing of like what I knew was real. I wanted to stay stuck in that because it was easier.
Yeah.
But inside, I really, really knew that it wasn't quite me, but if I shifted, I thought I was going to be alone on the other side. But I think that's something that I really want, and hopefully I'm sure you'll be able to share more on that, is like the more you start stepping, because I believe it was a bit of a fear of yours as too, right? That little bit of rejection around, well, am I going to be accepted if I choose to really show all of those parts of me, those shadows, all of the bits? And then you do, and you're like, oh my God, like if I didn't, I wouldn't know you.
No.
And I wouldn't know you the way I know you. And some of the friends I've got, I certainly wouldn't be on here sharing this and meeting different people. Those women who are saying they want to be like me, which even hearing that almost makes me feel a little yuck in my throat because I'm like, I'm not anybody. And which is the entire point of this entire podcast and this episode is like, you don't have to have qualifications or you don't have to have any PhDs. You just have to have this inner knowing and that's it, and just show up as you. And then everything flows.
It does. It's
just hard to hold on to that.
Yeah, just love yourself so much that you want to discover more about you. And the more you discover about yourself and the more you give permission to lean into and show that vulnerable side, that real side, the side that we don't often see at all on Instagram, and lean into that. We allow other people the permission to show that too, and to believe that anything's possible for them as well. And yeah, the answers aren't in, the house you own, the wage you make, the car you drive, the social status you have, none of that. God, this amount of times and people I've met and said to me, I became a millionaire, I became rich, I had all the things, but I was so empty inside. And I absolutely had that before my chapter 2. I tell this story many times. I stood in my kitchen of my, sub-penthouse apartment with all the things in it. I had holidays, I had the car, I had the dog, I had the husband, I had the view, I had the holidays, I had the clothes. I never looked at my bank account ever. It was everything external was incredible on paper. And there's that thing, and it all looked good on paper. And then I just stood there and I felt so empty. And I was like, I feel soulless. I would absolutely describe my life as flatlining. Nothing was exciting. Nothing gave me a buzz. I didn't get that real like stomach twisting excitement. Oh my God, my life's so exciting right now. There's so many, which I think, you've definitely been tapping into lately, is like all the possibility that comes with going into those dark places. Is like when you go in and you lean into that and you start to really discover it, you see so much, like there's so much for us to do. There's so much for us to see, to experience. And that means hitting the lowest of the lows so that you can experience the highest of the highs. you've been through your brick moment, and then you're floating through the sky, parascending and doing these amazing things that light you up, and knowing that that's where you want to go. And yeah, it is such a journey. It's such a huge journey, and we can only lean into these tools and support each other and open up that community. And I still have fear of judgment. There's no time. We were doing it before we came on here. Like, oh,
We did it.
like, we still are human. We're human. We still have shadow. We still don't like the way we look and judge ourselves and criticize ourselves. But okay, I'm gonna criticize myself. Okay,
But we're gonna show up anyway.
yeah, I'm gonna go do the thing, and I'm just gonna be a bit kinder to myself. Gosh, yes, there's that shadow side of me that's scared, that's frightened of judgment, but I'm still gonna show up, still gonna go on, so speak it out. It takes a lot of courage, and yeah, far out. That's helped me back a lot. Judgment massively, like such a big thing for me. And not being seen as the freak, the weirdo, the one that taught what's this stuff about energy and metaphysics. And now the people that inspire me are the people that fully lean into their freaky, and they are so tapped in, to their metaphysical, spiritual, energetic realm of their success. And I see where their real success has just been created from the inside out. 100%. They are living the dream, but they are balanced, and they're loving, and they're caring, and they have all their family around them, and they've taken their family that want to come with them, and they're not scared of having boundaries, and they're not scared of showing their freaky and going, this is me. And I'm fully in love and acceptance of all of parts of me, and they are living an abundant, happy life, a peaceful life.
So good. You say that and it makes me excited to just lean into more with you and learn more about the work you do, because I remember not wanting to get out of bed. And I use that as my catalyst to be really grateful for the fun things now. The simple things, the looking at the beach, the toes in the sand, the things where I'm like, I'm not free enough. I haven't created enough freedom. And then I go back and I go, hold on. What am I talking about? Before, you didn't even want to get out of bed because you had no joy, no love of life. And I had no idea how I even got there. No idea. And no idea how to get here.
Yeah.
So it's insane that it just takes one or two shifts. And then those people that you didn't know were around, so those freaky people, you didn't really, they weren't there before you started to shift. They were, but they weren't in your field of awareness.
Yeah.
So you felt alone. But then when you started talking about it, they're there. Somehow they're just magically there.
Yeah.
Just like the conversations that come up in my salon or whatever. It's like, oh, I just had a conversation I really needed today. Strangely, not strangely at all, because it happens all the time, because that's how it all works. And I think that's nuts.
But it's
So
yeah, you become super attractor, and then it's so cool. And then now we're having conversations about what we want to do, which is even cooler. It's like going, okay, so we're at the beach one day a couple of months ago. We got up with this whole idea, and now we're like, now we're gonna create. Now what can we? We're crossing over.
I remember one of our chats, and so maybe we've been working together a year, maybe a little bit over. I'm not somewhere in there. And I just remember saying, obviously we met for another reason. We're going to do some work together. But on the inside of me, I was like, she'll never work with me. I don't bring enough to the table. And then to fast forward, to be on the beach and have that conversation, and it just flowed. It was so perfect. And then there was still this bit of nah, that probably still won't really happen, because she knows all the things. I don't know all of the things. So that shadow's coming up again, and then, yeah, it's coming, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited. A lot of funny.
We've got some juicy stuff lined up. And this is like you say, is I think one of the biggest things we can know is that we never know it all. And if you can go, I'm never going to be the one that is the guru. We can always learn and grow, and we're growing from each other. And I love the fact that it brings me so much happiness to know that we can create as friends. and bring our own, light and bring in this amazing gift that we're going to share with people next year, this opportunity to come and grow with us, and share and hold space. I think that's such a big thing, right? It's just being able to hold a space where people are seen, heard, validated, and sharing our story and being able to sit in a circle with other people and go, I am you, you are me. We are all the same. No one's above anyone else. We've all got our, these flaws that we see as our flaws when they're all beautiful. And I'm excited for this thing we're going to create that we're working on, going back to remembering who we are.
Yeah, I'm like so excited. And if you want to get woo-woo, like I'm wearing my dad's bloody ring because, hello, it's Emily here. You guys may have heard me talk about human design and will continue to do so throughout my podcast because it's helped me to expand my life using it as a tool along my journey. If you would like to take your first step on a road to less doubt, then download your own free personalized human design chart by clicking on the link in the show notes. Then, as you follow along on socials or the podcast, you'll be able to integrate this and gain more clarity of who you are and remember who you came here to be. Lastly, I'd love for you to join our community of like-minded women inside our free Facebook group. All links are in the show notes. All right, back to the episode. A friend came through in a dream that said, this is my protective cloak now, right? And we did work on the beach when I came to Melbourne, and what came up was kind of what you just said, something that my dad said to me during my first ever breath work that I thought meant one thing. And then we're working on like my what was it? My soul timeline, my life's purpose, whatever it was that we were working on. And I'm like, I don't hate you, I am you. And I realized that that was the work we were supposed to be doing as well. Is like you were helping me remember me. But all I wanted was no one to judge me because I don't want to be judging anyone else. And what I love is that I can do this with you. And I know that you're not trying to step on my toes, one-up me, judge me. It's just pure joy of bringing something to the table and seeing it, how it unfolds. And I think on top of that, we made no wrong choices. And if we had tried to plan it, it never would have worked out as good as it worked out now. Which is so cool.
We're both still leaning in and letting go in this plan that we've got coming up. We're both still going into our fear, stepping in again, are both overcoming these blocks that have held us back in the past and being okay with that. And I think collaborating, community, bringing people together is so, so, so important right now, whether that be through breath work, and sitting with people and in space and seeing other people in their full emotion and going, oh my God, that's so beautiful to see someone cry, like weep, like really, really just let go and feel their sadness or their joy or burst out laughing or whatever it is. And then bringing these things like human design and these holistic tools where we reaffirm and we realign and we feel full alignment with who we are, and share those with each other, because I think that's going to be such a big element of the survival of humanity. It's like all about now coming together. And so I'm excited for how we're coming together to bring others together. I'm pumped so fast.
I have never had such guttural cries and felt such joy as what I have doing breath work. So for anyone who is listening or watching and they've not tried it, just maybe get out of your mind and give it a go, because it's a way to override your mind and tap into things that have laid dormant that you aren't even aware of. And it's kind of like, I call it like navigating unlocking maybe your that internal GPS, the same as what I find with like human design, but it's like bringing back, because you have it all in there. That's what you've told me. So I would just say, give it a go. So I think we have covered so much and I have loved this chat. So how can people find you or work with you, and maybe even just find out about what might work best for them, whether it's the coaching, whether it's just a little chat, or they want to learn a bit more about breathwork?
Yeah, so people can find me at the.abundant.soul on Instagram. So the abundant soul, but it has a dot in between the.abundant.soul. Currently, my website is being remastered because there's so much creation that's come through lately. So that's being really soon. That will be theabundancesoul.com.au. But my Instagram is the best way to connect right now. And really just let's have a chat. Let's have a conversation. And, you know, we just get on the phone, no fee, just have a talk about where you're at, what challenges you're facing. And then, you know, it's really like looking at the modalities that then can support you for your growth. Obviously, consciousness coaching, breath work, and combining the two is going to be, you know, something that I'm also offering. So people can have either like just a free, I call it like an alignment session, really. It's about how do I come into alignment? Just reach out on my DMs, come and check out my page, have a look, you know, just come and connect and yeah, let's start that process of change, that inner connection, and be part of the ripple effect. I think is really, really starting with yourself.
Awesome. I know that I have, since doing stuff with you, shared it with a lot of people, and they've jumped on and they've jumped in, and I'm now watching them, and it's so. Even one of my employees, I said today, I'm like, I can't wait. Like, she told me what she was doing with you. I'm like, I can't wait to see what 6 months looks like, because I'm like, you're the me that was, you know, like your baby me. So I'm super excited. So thank you so much for talking to me today. I'm excited to chat to you more about all of our upcoming stuff.
Yeah.
I know that the listeners will get so much out of that, and hopefully it will just prompt them or trigger them to start to look at different ways to help themselves. And guys, you'll find everything down in the show notes, and you can hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. See you later.
Thanks, mate.
Bye. Bye.